Oh my goodness. All right. This is the second try. Hello. My name is Amy. This is Ask a Christian, a place for authentic discussion about the Christian Bible, God, lifestyle, etc. Here's the deal, my friends. This is my second try. The internet looks good now. I don't know how long it's going to last, so I'm trying to get all this in. But I just want to let you know that this is unusual for me to just go live in the middle of the day. But the reason is I have been personally crushed by this Afghan refugee situation. And then I realized that the place where I live, Silicon Valley, and specifically up north, a few minutes of me in Fremont, is a huge Afghan community. We've been taking refugees since the 80s. And so I started kind of like calling around to see what we do to help people get situated, find jobs, get resources, what our government's doing. And I have made a new friend. Her name is Paula. She works as the development officer for the human resources side of the City of Fremont. So Paula, I want to make sure I'm saying your name right. Paula Manczuk-Hannay has joined me, and she's just so gracious with her time. She said she could give me a few minutes to talk about what she's seen, give us a level of comfort, and also help those of us who want to get involved in either giving or hands-on sometime in the future as we get things further underway. We can make some of those resources available. I've got links at the end of this on a slide, so I'll put that up for you, and I'll put them under this interview as we finish up. So please welcome my new friend, Paula. Hi, Paula.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's so good to see you today. I wanted to get a little bit of a rundown from you on the Afghan population in Fremont. Why do we have so many Afghanis who are already here? And then why are people coming into the Fremont area?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know why the Bay Area and Fremont specifically was chosen, but I know that as long as Afghan people have been fleeing Afghanistan, they've been settling in Fremont, and our Human Services Director has been the director of the department since its founding for 42 years, and she was part of the folks that welcomed the Afghan refugees initially. So as we see a greater influx of refugees now that the war has ended, people want to settle where they're comfortable and where they're going to be culturally supported and they feel like they have some kind of connection. So, can you imagine, moving to a completely strange country and not knowing the language or the how people behave on a regular basis. So that's why we're anticipating a lot of people coming to Fremont and the Bay Area. The whole Bay Area is a large Afghan settlement or has a large Afghan population, but Fremont is one of the largest outside of Afghanistan, actually.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I heard that since the 80s, there have been waves of folks coming over, makes them feel like at home. We've got better rent than New York, or at least we did in the 80s. I don't know how.
I think we still do, not by much, but I think we still do. And I will say that the State Department is encouraging Afghan refugees who don't otherwise have ties to expensive communities like the Bay Area to possibly settle in other cities, but they're not requiring it. And we know that there are a lot of connections to the Bay Area, so we do anticipate a lot of refugees coming.
We talked earlier about just not knowing the numbers. We don't have that pinned down yet. We don't know what we're looking at as far as people coming over, but we do know the kinds of organizations who are helping bring people in. Can you talk a little bit about who is bringing people and the process that they're going through to be vetted to get here?
Sure. And I'm going to clarify this I'm not an expert, but this is all the things that I've learned in the last few weeks. The two primary organizations in the Bay Area that are leading or are actually contracted with the federal government to bring refugees into the community is the International Rescue Committee and Jewish Family and Community Services, which has branches both in the East Bay and in Silicon Valley. And they are the folks that make sure people physically get to where they need to be. They sort of manage them for a period of time and then turn them, that sounds awful, connect them with other services and other organizations in the community. And I know that, I don't know exactly what the process is, but I know that a lot of the refugees have landed in European countries as sort of a holding place. And there is a vetting process before they come into this country to make as sure as we can that they're not tied to the Taliban, and that they are true refugees, really fleeing for ideological or, political, religious reasons, to be safe in a different country. So,
yeah, that's right. The more I read, the more I find out that pretty much the whole country doesn't like what the Taliban is doing. And that if everyone could leave, they would. Like the Taliban would just be left there with themselves. But
that seems to be the case.
Yeah, it's been happening for so long now that anyway. Let me ask you a little bit about a word that I've heard that I've come across. People are applying for SIVs. What does that mean? It's a special something visa?
I'm going to look at my notes here. It is Special Immigrant Visa, and that is the gold standard, I guess we could call it, of visas for an Afghan refugee. And those are usually reserved for the interpreters, the people that were embedded with the military or our State Department, the ones who probably have the most to fear from the Taliban. Mm-hmm. I have learned in the time that we've been doing this that the process for being approved for an SIV can be very long. So some people are fleeing under some of the more broad visas, and they're not actually visas. There's something called Humanitarian Parole, and that gets them out of the country and gets them to the U.S. while their SIV is being processed.
Okay.
If you already had an SIV and you were financially able to, you could have come to the United States on your own on a commercial flight before the Afghan government fell. So, okay. Which is good. We do know of at least one family that made it to Fremont that way. So,
all right. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the needs that you've seen or you anticipate as the refugees kind of make their way to Silicon Valley?
Sure. One of the things that I've learned is, depending on what level of visa you have, the amount of financial support that you get differs. So someone with an SIV gets, don't quote me on this, but I think $1,100 per person per family for 3 months, which is fantastic if you live in West Virginia. It's the same no matter where you settle, which is another reason why they're encouraging people to settle in less expensive cities. But so somebody with an SIV comes here, they have a family of 4, that's $4,400 a month, which will barely pay rent in the Fremont area. So some of the needs are some kind of rental support. Mm-hmm. We've seen one of the big things that I keep hearing is cell phones. Most people had to abandon their cell phones for fear of the Taliban tracking them. So they're coming to this country with nothing. So the organizations and the Jewish and Family Services and the IRC are trying to get cell phones so they can hand people as they get off the plane. We anticipate furniture needs. We find people connecting them to housing. We're eventually going to need furniture. We're eventually going to need household items. These are all the things that we're anticipating working out. But we haven't quite... We, meaning all of the organizations working together, haven't quite figured out a system to do that, because if you've ever managed donations of items, it can be completely overwhelming. And so they're kind of asking everyone to sit in a holding pattern while we develop a system for that, because we don't want to end up with a warehouse full of stuff that somebody needs to sort. So,
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
You mentioned knowing about one family already who's come over kind of on their own dime, been able to do that. Have you had any contact with any other families or individuals that have given you hope that people are coming over on their own or taking initiative even outside of the help that your organization and others have been giving?
I have not heard of another family that was able to come on their own, but I would be willing to bet that doesn't mean they don't exist. It just means they haven't filtered their way to us. And how we heard about this other family was I actually had the apartment manager at a complex in Fremont reach out to me and ask me, I have a refugee family who wants to rent and I want to rent to them, but can you talk to me a little bit about how they're going to be financially stable while they're here? Mm-hmm. And at the same time, we think that family came into our resource center to ask for help. We're assuming it's the same family, but we don't know that for sure.
Right.
But I from what I understand, people are getting here. I'm hearing that from the three organizations that I mentioned. They've been pretty quiet about the numbers, and I'm not sure if that's by design or it just hasn't come up. There are the few people in the community who are expressing concern for refugees coming here, so it might be a way to protect them. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's too bad.
It is.
Well, we look forward to more updates from you and organizations that you mentioned. I'll be able to put links for our church members who are watching who are going to want to give. But could you tell me if we wanted to, we've got folks who are located in Fremont, that's in their own backyard. If they want to give to the city of Fremont, knowing that you guys are doing good work, how can they do that?
We have set up a website that is fremont.gov/ARHelp, and it lists the different ways you can donate. You can make a financial contribution via credit card or send a check. We have a supporting nonprofit organization if you have a donor advised fund or something like that. And one of the things I'm also very proud of is we are working with the other organizations serving Afghan refugees in the area and trying to keep the website up to date as much as possible of other ways you can get involved. If you're interested in supporting someone in your home, you want to give items once we're ready to take them, those kinds of things. So all of that is on that page as well, or it's linked there. So hopefully that'll be a resource for you in the future.
All right. Paula, thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you.
I know you're busy, and I am hoping that we can rally together and do some great things from our community as we welcome the Afghan community here.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for your support.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.